Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King, and today I'm gonna be giving you part 3 of What If Naruto Was Almost Voldigoad Reincarnation. Remember to get this one too. 100 like as usual. Share this to all of your friends on your social media platform. And also guys, don't forget to go ahead and check out the other channels if you're new. Yes, that's correct, I indeed have 4 more channels. All the links will be down in the description for Anime King 2, Anime King 3, Anime Prince, and Anime Symbol. So go ahead and obliterate that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family. And don't forget to turn on the bell notification to see exactly when I post, because as you can see, I do post a hell of a lot. So without further ado or wasting any more time, what do you say we jump right into this? Begin now, guys. So the last part that we left off, the masked man still could not get over what happened, more so his death. He was blown to a million pieces and reformed. That takes a toll on anyone. However, the big problem was he couldn't understand how one person possessed such power. It was a truly frightening thought. While that was going on, Naruto figured that he might as well fix the problems that were taking place around the village. After doing a few days of recon, he found out about Danzo and his move. So with that, he calmly made his way down to where the man was located. Danzo agents tried to attack. However, the mere vibration of Naruto's heartbeat killed them without a second thought. He proceeded to snap a few of them away as well. They were not powerful enough to resist it. They were weak. Naruto turned his wrath towards Danzo, as his mindset right now was just to kill Danzo and get it over with, unless the man made a pact with him, binding to his chakra and his soul. Danzo refused at first. However, when the unbridled power of Naruto was brought up, when he truly understood and saw what Naruto was capable of, fear set in, a whole lot of fear, and Danzo, being a man to never shake, found himself shaking for the first time as he agreed to sign the pact with Naruto, therefore stopping him from ever making a move against any member of the Uchiha clan ever again. If it was not under his own ill intention, of course. Naruto shook hands with him as he made his way off, acting rather nonchalant after forcing a man to do his bidding. The next time there was a meeting between the Uchihas, Naruto showed up. That startled many of them. One of them tried to take him down as Naruto snapped him out of reality and brought him back, telling them about the 3-second rule. He did it once again, just to prove that he would kill any one of them who stepped towards him. However, he wasn't so sure about Fukaku. He could do this in members that he could vastly overpowered, but some are stronger. But that didn't mean that he didn't have ways of ending their lives. So with that, Naruto had a good and nice talk with Fukaku, showing them what will happen if they decide to make a move against the village, as they know he know about it, so he could one, tell his father, or simply wipe all of them off the face of the earth. And they realized that he possessed the power to do so. The remaining weeks that came, things changed. Danzo stopped pushing for the exile of the Uchiha clan. Yes, things were a whole lot different. Both Danzo and Fukaku had the idea that each of them knew that they both were targeted because Naruto had spilled it. Yet neither of them said anything about it. They were in awe and frightened by the power that the boy possessed, and he had so much knowledge that he did not tell anyone, especially his father. Naruto made his way towards a birthday party with his mom, his little sis, as Mito was riding on his shoulders. She was a lively and happy little girl, as this was a big turning point because even the Uchiha, Ear was there as well. Yes, Izumi was there. As both her and Naruto talk, she has noticed some changes within her clan. Naruto had become one of her bestest friends, so she talked to him about it, as Naruto knew exactly what she was talking about, but he behaved like he did not know. But at least this will be good for the coming future. That is when Naruto noticed the young girl, as he could feel her emotions. She wanted to be happy but she could not. Her name was Hinata Hyuga, same age as his baby sister. While this was going on, his father was having a discussion with a few ambassadors from Kumo, so they could sign a peace treaty between the two nations, so they would not see each other and immediately go against each other. There was a few stipulations. The Raikage was counting on that because he was playing a very dangerous and quick game. A game that he might win or lose, but even if he loses, he will still win. While that was going on, Naruto was able to meet Hitomi. The woman was greatly sick. A quick scan, Naruto was able to find out what was wrong with her, as he was able to make her puke out the small tiny balls that she was infected by. Naruto turned his gaze towards one of the elders. The man was none other than Hayashi's father. He didn't like Hitomi. His goal was to end her because she was weakening the clan. She was bringing weakness. Hayashi was furious. However, before anything were to happen, Naruto vanished. Moments later, someone burst in the room. Sasuke and Mito was kidnapped. Naruto had the 3 cats that he gave to each member of his family. He had them transform. Yes. So the kidnapper had no idea. However, Naruto arrived and created an unimpenetrable wall, stopping Sasuke kidnapper first because he wanted some one-on-one time with Mito's kidnapper, as Izumi and the Uchihas and also the Hyugas converge upon the kidnapper of Sasuke, who was already safe because Naruto had taken the kids back to the party and made sure they were safe. Naruto then proceeded to brutalize the man. He murdered him at least 5 times before bringing him back. The man was begging not to be killed anymore, as he spilled everything. Things that he wasn't supposed to spill. Things that he was supposed to take to his death, but yet his nerves went out against him as he told Naruto everything. Things that would get him executed by his leader. After getting said information, Naruto decided to pay the Raikage a little visit. Moments later, he was in mid-air, gazing down towards the land of lightning. He should rectify with the man why, and give him a good reason not to attack Konoha or come after the people that he loved, as Naruto descended upon the village. So yeah guys, basically as we left off, you guys can switch across the blade of yourself. And also guys, don't forget to go ahead and smash that red subscribe button and become a part of the Enemy King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. So without further ado, let's begin this now guys. We begin this episode at the Land of Lightning, the ninja village that reside within Kumo. In the office, situated in the center, there were 3 bridges connected to it, leading to different areas. They were high up. These civilians live down below. 80% of their ninja forces live on this location. None of them were really bothered by the altitude. After all, they were grown and raised here, so it was pretty normal to them. Just like how it was normal for the sand ninjas to be in the hot desert. Things were different everywhere. The Raikage was finishing up some late night work. However, his mind was somewhere else. The man was large, with brown skin. He had dull, blonde hair and beady eyes. He was wearing some gigantic wrist weights on his arms. He was dressed in a white coat, that wasn't buttoned or closed at the center, as he's seated in his office. Out of all of the nations around, Kumo was the only nation that was lacking in the bloodline department. Yes, gravely so. The one that had the most was Kiri, but they were having some problems at the moment. Konoha was a close second, and then the stone, then the sand, and his village was the last. And he did not like that. The Raikage was many things. For one, he was paranoid. For another, he refused to bend to other people's wills. Yes, he was arrogant. Greatly so. However, he had a plan. A very concrete plan that could not fail. His ambassador went to Konoha to sign a cease of fire between the two nations. Because even now, the meeting of a Konoha and Kumo ninja under the wrong settings would always turn bloody. So the Hokage was in agreement for them to have a ceasefire between their two nations. However, he had a perfect plan. Once it was signed and dealt with, he would have his ninjas go after the Hyugas. Yes, one of the more prominent bloodline other than the Uchihas. Whichever bloodline that they could get their hands on that would be beneficial to his village. If his ninjas came back successful, they succeed. However, if they fail, he would have possible deniability. And due to the law of the treaty that the both of them agree on, killing one of their ninjas will result in the guilty party be sent to the victim village and they would be put to death. So yes, even if he failed, he would still get his hands on a Hyuga. He still had a really good chance. However, there was one thing that no one was accounting for, him in particular. He heard noises outside of his office. Given the time of night, it sounded like something was wrong. His secretary, a woman known as Mabi, she was talking to someone, and he could hear from the elevation of her voice. She sounded surprised. "Wait, whoever you are, you can't go in there." He then heard a voice spoke up. "Given what he has done, he's probably expecting me." The door was blown off the hinges and violently slammed into the glass view that was there, cracking it as it fell down. Stepping inside was a child. No, that caught the man off guard. Kumo Anvus immediately starts to appear all around. Mabi standing there as well. "Sorry about that." The child spoke in a casual tone. "It seems I am more upset than I thought," he said, referring to the door. The Raikage was genuinely confused, so much so that he raised his hand, stopping his Anvus from engaging. "I am not sure who you are, or why you have made the mistake of coming here and blowing my door off. However, child," Naruto interrupted him. "Well then, let me introduce myself. I am Naruto Namikaze." The look in the man's eyes of instant recognition. "Well now, that you know who I am." The Raikage took a closer inspection and the child was right. It was him. Of all people to come here, this was something that he would have never, ever expected. He had heard some things, that this child was testing far above his level. However, how in the hell did he get here bypassing every security and making his way so far? That was just not possible. Now, for the reason why I'm here, I believe that we should have a proper conversation. One of your men recently tried to kidnap my little sister and a good friend of mine. After I was able to have a little chat with him, he told me that you sent him, and given the new deals of the treaty that he will sign, you had a plan. Of course he's dead now, Naruto said, making the Anvus flinch. He came after my family, and that is something that I would never allow to slide. As for you, on the other hand, I see that your intentions are not for peace, but for gains. To be above Konoha. So tell you what, you and I shall fight. If I win, you're going to sign a contract with me for you to never raise your hand against my village. If you win, I'll give you this. Naruto pulled out a scroll. As he held it up, you want to know what this is, right? This is my father, Hiroshin Jutsu. I simplified it after breaking it down, so all of your ninjas, including you, can learn this technique. And with this technique at their beck and call, I doubt that you would need any bloodline. Naruto said, holding up the scroll. The Raikage mind was whirling towards the information that this child had just given to him. In an instant, he stood in front of Naruto, his arm about to snatch the scroll out of Naruto's hand. However, before he could, Naruto was standing on his table. The Raikage was mortified. Granted, he was not going nowhere near to his full speed, but this child outplayed him. This child. His gaze turned towards Naruto as every Anvu rushed to restrain the boy. However, Naruto cast a single spell. All of your hands or their movements were restricted. There's an unseen wall that divides us. You can try your best to break it, but I trust you. Even if you do, your village would be in flames by then. Naruto said as he raised his arm. Upon doing that, he pointed towards the horizon of the village. Voldigoad, he said. A gigantic castle appeared out of nowhere. It just appeared on the horizon. Said castle released something. All of them were petrified in shock. The gigantic nine-tailed fox stood tall. Naruto stood there. They were all mortified. Mabi couldn't believe it. All of the citizens going about their nightly activities were frozen. Ninjas came to a complete stop. Naruto gazed out towards the beast. He had a few years to understand the beast and to know more about the beast. It turns out that the Nine-Tails was not as bad as people led it to believe. All it wanted was just to be left alone. Thus, Naruto had made a deal with it. That is why it was now here. They had a mental link. Don't do anything yet, Naruto said, as if talking to himself. If they try to make a move, I'll give you the go-ahead. So as you can see, attack me once again, and I will give him the order to rain hell upon this village, and much more. So, can we be civil? The Raikage was humiliated, angry that a child was forcing him into this predicament. You know, the longer you remain quiet, the more time you're giving the 8 and the 2-tailed Jinchurikis to arrive. And the fox might listen to me now, but I assure you, if he is pushed into a battle, he will defend himself, and that might lead to the destruction of this village by accident. So, I'll ask you once more, do we have a deal? The Raikage looked at the scroll in Naruto's hand. And what is giving me the insurance that is even real? Naruto reached as he pulled out a 3-pronged kunai and threw it. He then teleported towards the kunai. As you can see, I have full control over this ability. And I know it inside and out. I've studied for some time now. So, do you want to make a deal, yes or no? Because in the next 10 seconds, things are going to be out of my control. The Raikage, not wanting the destruction of his village, and knowing what was going to happen as he could feel it. And he could not give them the signal from right here. Fine, I'll make your deal, he said. Naruto vanished. He reappeared the next moment with B and Yujito. The both of them collapsing on their butt. They were confused. "Thank you for your help," said Naruto. Upon saying that, the Ninetales was gone. Him and the castle was just gone. Naruto stepped forward. "Bro, what was with that show?" Killer Bee said, trying to understand what was going on. "Sir, who is this boy? Where is the Ninetales?" It was Yujito that spoke next. "If you would follow me," said Naruto. "By the way, a bit of an insurance." Naruto tossed a scroll towards Mabi as she caught it. The Raikage looked at her. She tried to release the scroll or even open it, but she cannot release or open that scroll. But she does have it. And I did show you proof. So let us go. Moments later, both of them were standing in a coliseum that belonged to the village. "How do you know the in and outs of my village?" the Raikage said. "I was here for a good 20 minutes. Naruto spoke to him. "If you're wondering how your security did not find me, I'm just that good. Now, for the rules of this battle, it will not end in death. It will end in submission by the loser's mouth. That means, if you tell me to stop, I win. If I tell you to stop, you win. Do you understand?" "I'm not an idiot," the Raikage said. "But you are. Coming into my village and challenging someone like me and giving away your father's prized possession. I'll take you up on your deal. If you die, it is out of my control. You are the one that started this." "Do as you must," said Naruto. "But once you give up, you will sign my pact." "Fine," the Raikage said. "But I'm telling you now, there is no way in hell that something like that will ever happen." We shall see. Countless ninjas were around the place. Mabi was standing there. Naruto held his hand up as a barrier formed. "This will make sure your village don't get destroyed in the process." The Raikage prepared himself. Today was not going at all as he expected, but the child seemed to know about him and know about his love for battle as well, and knowing that he would accept this, given the good chances that he had for himself. Is this really happening? People start to mutter amongst themselves. "Bro, it's gonna be a part of the big show. I wonder how it's gonna flow." "B, something is not right here." "What is it, Edo?" "This child. I sense something coming from him. Not to mention, he was able to tame the Ninetales, a feat that is greatly impossible for ninjas of this age. He's not an ordinary child." The Raikage joining this fight was probably a mistake. Yujito was hearing the same thing from the two tails inside of her. They could tell that something was not right. The others were truly trying to understand if this was real, that they were going to fight. Yeah, that was a child versus a Raikage. The child was going to be eviscerated. There was no question about that. However, him not showing an ounce of fear, seemingly completely relaxed. Something was not right. Not right in the slightest. As both Naruto and the Raikage stood there. "Well then, let's not waste any more time. I'm sure some people are looking for me right now. Let us go." The Raikage looked at the child before he clenched his fists. Their gaze looking at one another as Naruto was so calm and relaxed. It happened in a flash. The Raikage appeared in front of him and raised his fists. Boom! The whole ground was eviscerated with one single blow. All of them were mortified. However, they expected this. The Raikage had wiped him out of existence with just a single punch. But what else could have been the result of this altercation. However, when the smoke and dust cleared, they were mortified to see the Raikage body pressed into the earth. The smash that they had felt and saw was the Raikage crashing into the earth. As for the Raikage himself, he couldn't believe what just happened. No, that wasn't possible. He had the winning blow. However, in a fraction of a second, the boy's eyes was following him the entire time. The boy grabbed his arm and pulled him down. The force had pulled him with was something that he would have never expected. And now the Raikage picked himself up as Naruto was crouching. "Do you want to give up?" said Naruto. The Raikage jumped to his feet, swinging his leg as he did. Naruto blocked it with his right arm. Despite the ridiculous difference in their size, which looked just ridiculous, Naruto slammed his palm into the man's stomach. The Raikage bounced across the ground like a stone skipping across water before he slammed into the barrier. Naruto stepped forward as he held his hand out. He then waved it. The Raikage jumped out of the way as a violent gust tore through the entire place. It ripped the ground asunder. Everyone was shocked and speechless. Naruto gazed fixated and followed the man. The Raikage disappeared. He reappeared behind Naruto going at 40% of his true power. He swung as Naruto ducked, he punched as Naruto ducked. He lashed out with 10 kicks and 10 punches in a few seconds, but they were either deflected or dodged. The Raikage jumped back as he powered up to 50%. He tore through the area as he reached Naruto, swinging a mighty fist forward. As the punch was nearing Naruto's face, the Raikage powered up to 100% and vanished, moving like a literal flash of light. He then appeared and thrust his arm forward, the lightning shooting off his hand. It ripped through Naruto's back and burst through his chest, obliterating his heart in the process. The Raikage had just done one of his special moves, generating all the lightning around him and shooting it off. It did not stop. It teared through the ground and went deeper and deeper and kept on tearing. He called it lightning arrow. Naruto stood there. The Raikage stepped towards him. "It was your mistake for challenging me," he said. He glanced over towards Mabe. However, she still could not. The Raikage felt something as he heard many people gasp. "Did you think that destroying my heart would kill me?" He turned as Naruto's fist slammed into his face. His body moved faster than his lightning arrow. Boom! The barrier actually shook violently. He collapsed face first, peeling off it as he did. Standing there as blood leaked from his mouth and leaked from the wound in his chest. And yet, he was undisturbed, unbothered. The Raikage, who was missing 3 teeth, was petrified. How are you alive?" he said. I told you before. Did you really think that destroying my heart would kill me?" Naruto stepped forward. "You rush into agreeing without not knowing what you are agreeing against. And now, I want to show you why it will be a right idea to sign with me, rather than going to war with Konoha. After all, if you do..." A violent, corrupted aura started to leak from Naruto. The barrier started to crack, his unending power source leaking. The ninjas started to step away. Some of them started to collapse from the overwhelming sense of fear. B was trembling. B, the Jinchuriki. The Raikage powered up to 100%. Naruto was behind him though, That won't do you any good. He thrust his hand as the Raikage vanished. When the Raikage reappeared, his lightning was gone. He tried to power up, but it was not working. What? He was sent sailing, without even Naruto touching him. He smashed into the ground, creating a trench. As Naruto stepped forward, I disabled that technique of yours. Now tell me, what are you gonna do without it? Don't worry, it's not permanent. You should receive it back. But for the time being, Naruto stood on the Raikage's shoulder. This was just pure disrespect. Naruto planted his boot into his face. The Raikage's feet ruptured through the ground. As he was now at his waist, Naruto grabbed him by the back of the neck and launched him. He bounced once again. Naruto reappeared above him and slapped him in the chest. The slap reverberated through the entire Colosseum and beyond. The Raikage screamed out as a handprint was left right in his chest, swollen and puffing. The Raikage quickly dropped his bracers to enhance his speed as he ran with raw speed towards Naruto. That is when he felt it, as he quickly powered up to 100% at the last fraction of a second. He appeared above Naruto and dropped his hand into his skull to split it open. However, he was blasted. He crashed hard. The Raikage was confused. What was that? You didn't move. I would have seen it, he said. The man was losing his mind in rage. It just wasn't possible. Oh, I did not hit you now. I hit you in the past. Oh, what? I have this ability to send my attacks in the past, a fraction of a second before you hit me. So now is the present, I send it in the past, because I'm moving on a faster scale than you. That is the most I can explain for you. The Raikage was holding his swollen cheek, blood leaking from his mouth. That wasn't possible. There was no physical way something like that could be real. None of this made any sense. This child, was he even human? Now you're wondering what I am, if I'm even human. The Raikage eyes widened. Don't worry, I'm not reading your mind. It's just, when I do these sort of things, I can tell what my opponent are thinking, just from the look on their faces. The Raikage was gone, as he charged up once again and fired 3 arrows this time. However, they were all deflected. Sorry, the same technique doesn't work on me twice. Naruto said, stepping forward. Now, it's my turn, said Naruto, causing the Raikage to show fear. Many of the outside ninjas were also petrified, as a strange, ominous feeling were gripping at their hearts. It was situated in the sky. Naruto stepped forward. Brace yourself. That was the only warning that he gave him. Naruto was now behind the Raikage, as he looked down towards his fist. The Raikage spat up blood. He collapsed down to his knees. The citizens were confused. My power has still not revived yet. I should have given you more punches in the fraction of a second than I gave you, said Naruto. The Raikage appeared and swept as Naruto jumped and grabbed his face, smashing his skull into the ground. Naruto then slammed his heel into the guy's chest, cracking several of his ribs. There was a reason why Naruto was not trying to outright kill him. He was going to beat him, and that is what he did for the next 2 minutes. The Raikage was bloody and battered. Going full force still accomplished nothing. The ninjas outside started to get restless. B wanted to intervene, as he started to release the power of the 8 tails. His brother was getting the crap beat out of him. They need to do something. The Raikage was on the ground, bloody. Naruto knelt in front of him. It seems your friends want to join. I told you that I will be fighting you, but if that barrier broke and they enter, and they try, I'll defend myself. The first one I'll defend myself against is your brother. No! Don't you dare! Accept my deal. Make the pact with me. Otherwise, B was slamming his fist hard against the barrier. As you can see, it's breaking. The Raikage was forced to make a choice. He realized now that he stood no chance against this child. If B were to enter right now, he would be killed. The look in Naruto's eyes confirmed that much. The Raikage had no choice. Fine. Naruto smiled here and that as they were gone. The barrier fell as B fell forward because of the force that he was pushing with. Meanwhile, at Konoha, everyone was moving around. The council was called. The remaining members that came with a convoy to sign the treaty was gone. The ones that remained behind, they were the ones that tried to kidnap his daughter and the youngest son of Fukaku. Things were bad because Naruto was nowhere to be seen. Minato highly doubted that Naruto was kidnapped. The council wanted to talk about this and their action going forward. Kushina was worried, despite knowing what Naruto was capable of. She couldn't help it. The council room was interrupted though, when suddenly, the Raikage was on the table, bleeding heavily. Naruto was standing right there. Everyone was caught off guard. Anvus were out, ready to strike. Everyone was speechless. Naruto? Minato was the first to speak. Father, Naruto said. Before talking though, Naruto turned his gaze towards the Raikage. As Minato heard Naruto's voice in his head, we will talk later. Naruto then spoke. Honorable member of the council, the Raikage here made a grave mistake. He tried to have his people to kidnap bloodline wielders of his village. With the recent peace treaty that was signed, and him having the ability to say that he knew nothing about this, would have ended in his favor. But as you can see, we had a little chat. So, in addition to the treaty that he signed, he's now going to sign a deal with me that will be bonded to his life. If he's to ever raise his hand against his village, if he's to ever try to plot to bring the destruction of Konoha, he shall die immediately. We had a long conversation as you can see, and we were able to work it out. So, I am here to let you all see. I know that many of you must have grudges and hate because of this action, but I need you to let it go because just like he will as well. Naruto held out his hand. All you need to do is to rest your hand on the opposite side. The humiliated Raikage had no choice, as he knew what would be the outcome. After all, you wouldn't want me to pay your village a visit again, now do you? The Raikage begrudgingly placed his hand. As the seal was met, remember, think carefully. Try not to plot against us, otherwise, it will mean your death. Ingo. Upon saying that, the Raikage was fully healed. The man picked himself up as Naruto placed his hand on the man and sent him away, without even giving him a time to say anything. At Kumo, everyone was searching until B turned as he saw his brother standing there. The humiliation was thick and heavy. He could not even look at them. He could not even face his people after what just happened. Meanwhile, at the village, the council room was still silent after that little display. Fukaku and Danzo had intimate knowings of what Naruto was. Minato was not far behind either, but this was still a shock to him. Yes, it was. However, for the others, they knew that he was special. But this was just... Tatsumi was the first to speak. Let me get this straight. You went to Kumo. You completely humiliated and beat the living crap out of the Raikage. The Raikage, the leader of their village, and forced him to sign something that would lead to his death if he were to ever attack Konoha ever again. Yes, said Naruto. The woman started to laugh. She burst out laughing, as that was the only thing that she could do. Laugh. Nothing else, nothing more, just laugh. Koharu was the next one to speak. When you told us that your son was stronger than most, you failed to mention some of these attributes, as to walk in another nation and force their leader to cease fire completely against us. This pact that you made with the Raikage, how strong is it to hold up? Trust me, said Naruto, turning towards Shikaku that spoke. There is nothing in this world that he can do to break it. And I made sure that he knew what will happen if he does so. I doubt that he will. Hear him speak, Tatsumi said. After what he just did, and this is too funny, she said, as she couldn't stop laughing. Just who the hell is this kid? Everyone was rather shocked. Naruto spent the next few hours filling them in. They were curious, more so about how powerful he exactly was. It was kind of frightening to most of them that they had a diabolical weapon right under their nose. Time skip in the office. Why didn't you tell me what you were going to do, said Minato. I apologize, said Naruto. I was upset. He came after Mito, and I had to make things right. The first Hokage and yourself, over the years, have been used as a deterrent between the other nations and this village. I could be that deterrent as well, to make sure that there will be no more war. If I put my mind to it, I can also get the others to sign one as well. However, they have shown no aggression. No, said Minato. Don't do that. I already know, said Naruto. You know, Minato said. Yes, my power might be great, and this deterrent might be unbreakable, but it will just foster hatred over time. But the Raikage had to be done. He used this peace treaty to trick and to kidnap children. He had to be taught a lesson. I knew I went without orders, but... Minato released a breath as he wiped his hand down his face. As he looked at Naruto, seemingly changing the subject. I knew that most of your power had returned, but... the fact that you were able to do this by yourself is just... The door burst open. Kushina came running in. Before Naruto could say anything, he was enveloped in a hug. I was so worried, she said, holding on to him. I'm fine, Mom, he said to her. His sister and Sasuke came in as well. His sister ran over towards him. Sasuke not so much. Standing there was Izumi. She seemed happy and relief that Naruto was okay and alright. Kushina pulled back. Where did you go? What happened? She said. Well, about that, said Naruto, looking towards Minato. Hey, you did this on your own. You can explain it on your own. And remember, I did not order you to do this. So you're leaving me out to dry. Well, what can I say, said Minato. What's going on, said Kushina. As Naruto looked towards her. Yes, Kushina was shocked and also angry, and told him never to do something like that ever again. However, a part of her were pleased that he stuck it to the Kumo ninjas. They tried to do the same to her when she was a young girl. However, that was the event that put her and Minato relationship together. So yeah, but she was kind of a bit glad to hear that the Raikage was taught a lesson, even though it was not him that did this all those years ago. But they were still going on. After all, his father did it and now he tried to do it. However, she didn't want Naruto to be hurt, despite knowing how vastly powerful he was. Izumi was beyond shock. She couldn't express in words how shocked she was. She knew that Naruto was gravely strong, but this was just truly frightening. The next few weeks though, the rumors did not come. No, they did not. Minato wanted Konoha to remain civil in this, knowing that their action would only cause more mayhem. However, no Kumo ninjas spread any rumors or talk about what happened. After all, they were humiliated, all of them by a child. After all, the Raikage was a leader, the stronger, the one that lead the village. So for him to be treated that way, they were all treated that way. So yes, the information was kept under wraps, and many people had no idea what the hell happened. However, the council wanted to chat with Naruto again. Minato made them know that just because Naruto was who he was, they would not be stepping towards the other nations to try and take over. He did not say it in those words, but Danzo was silent about it. That is why Minato had to have a talk about Naruto and his recent actions. Naruto came clean with his father, but he did not tell him about the Uchiha clan. He didn't want his father knowing that because the stigma that they nearly tried to betray the village. Not to mention he didn't want Izumi knowing about that her clan would go that far. However, he did tell him that he had a little chat with Danzo. That is why the man was being so much more supportive and not raging a war against the Uchiha clan like he always did. Minato was upset that Naruto was keeping these things away from him, as Naruto apologized and promised that he wouldn't be making a great decision like that again without consulting with him first. As for the council, they had a meeting. It will be a true crime to leave Naruto where he was. His level was far, far above a genin, and it's time that they made some changes. Yes, it was about time that they made some changes. After all, after his recent encounter with the Raikage, that was visible to all, every single one of them. So yes, the past few weeks had been a lot. He was not the only one though to get promoted. Izumi was also one of them as well, as she now had an interest to get strong like Naruto. Something that might seem impossible, but it was helping her grow severely. So yes, weeks passed by like that. Weeks turn into months, and months turn into years. At the moment, you're gonna have to do better than that, Naruto spoke, as he was looking down at his 6-year-old sister. Mito had grown a lot. 3 years has passed since the incident. She rushed towards him. She had a wooden blade in her hand as she swung and swiped at him. Naruto was holding on to a piece of stick that he was using to deflect all of her attacks. She thought that she got the drop on him as she spun and lashed out. However, he knocked her wooden blade out of her hand. Before it could fall though, she squeezed her eyes shut, focusing, as a tiny chain lashed out of her side. The chain gripped onto the stick and launched it, as Naruto blocked it easily though. "Nice work," he said. "But I didn't hit you," she said to him. "But you came close, and that is a great improvement," Naruto said, holding on to the chain that she extended from her side. "You're getting a lot better." "Yeah, I've been working on it in secret," she covered her mouth. "I wasn't supposed to told you that." I was just gonna surprise you and mom and dad one day. So forget about it, okay? Yeah, sure, said Naruto, patting her on the head. Mito had grown so much in the past couple of years. Of course she wanted to be a ninja like them. She even wanted to start the academy early, but their mother wouldn't allow it. She would start the academy at the appropriate time, but she was in a rush. So Naruto offered to aid her. His mother was also a kinjutsu master, so her kinjutsu lessons were coming along well. She also liked fuinjutsu. It must be in the blood because things that would be completely complex to other children, she seemed to understand. She wasn't anywhere close to a master or anything at all, but she was young and she liked it, so who knows in the coming future. She pouted though, as she was unable to hit him, as he knelt in front of her. Tell you what, how about I get you some of your favorite ice cream? But I failed, she said to him. Yes, but you did try your best, didn't you? Yes, I did, she said. And that's all I asked for, he said. So hop on, he said. She smiled as she jumped onto his back. Are you secured? Yep, she said, holding on to him. Let's go for flying. As Naruto chuckled before he took off the ground, as he started to ascend into the sky, making his way. Naruto had grown pretty tall in the past 3 years that passed by. He had grown pretty tall despite just being in his early teens. But he was not the only one. Izumi had grown as well. Their friendship had just gotten closer and closer. However, unlike him, she took a different path. She decided to venture into the darker side, and that was Anvu. Her father seemed to be in good spirits for this. She was quite fitting for the program, it seems. He spent time with her every now and again when she had breaks. She had many friends, but he was her closest friend. Shisui was a good friend of the both of them though. As for Naruto's popularity, it had skyrocketed in the village. Him becoming the youngest Jonin ever had truly taken a shocking turn, as he had met many people. There has been 100+ marriage proposals sent Minato's way, from daimyos, dignitaries, their daughters, as they wanted to create a union between them and him. Yes, Naruto had became a Jonin, as he started solo missions a week after. After all, Minato was not afraid of Naruto being stopped by anyone. The only thing that plagued his mind was that entity that Naruto had came across, who wanted him dead for unknown reasons. To this day, they still don't know what exactly that was. However, over the past 3 years, the Raikage had stuck to his words. Kumo and Konoha ninjas had faced each other. However, there was no war, no violent outbursts, just seen and made their way. And that was a good thing. It seems like the Raikage humiliation had taken a turn for the better. But there was no doubt in Naruto's mind that the man was trying to find a way to get revenge. But because of their little deal, that might not be in the picture for him. But who knows? He was a really stubborn man. Returning back home, Kushina was fuming. It was almost dinner time and the both of them were eating ice cream. So they did what any children of a fuming mother would do. They ran away, forcing her to chase the both of them. Naruto truly enjoyed spending this time with his family. It was so wholesome and great. While that was going on though, Minato was currently having a meeting, as they had been trying to get in contact with him for some time now, asking for aid. Jiraiya had been the one to be the convoy between the two of them, speaking for each of their behalf. The Sannin was here in the village as we speak, as he was making his way towards the residence to visit the kids. When he was told about what had happened, he was also shocked as well. But given, after sitting down and talking with Naruto and knowing everything, he wasn't so more shocked anymore. However, Minato was speaking to a very beautiful, burgundy-haired woman. Her name was Mei Terumi. Mei Terumi was the leader of a faction that was fighting against a radical tyranny that was none other than Yagra. Yagra had been killing off bloodline users. At first it was not so bad, but it got worse. Mei had tried to reach out to the former allies of Kiri, but they didn't want to aid them at all, despite the benefits of having a better leader. Everyone was just watching to see how things was gonna play out, and maybe then they would intervene. She came to Konoha seeking aid. After all, if Yagra was put down, there will be new leadership, new laws, new formation, new bonding, new allies. That is what she was seeking. She told Minato everything that they have to offer in the coming future. Now it was his turn to mull over the idea. He could understand why many didn't want to get involved. It was a really sticky situation. A really sticky one. However, there were certain benefits of helping them out. And also, it was going to stop all the bloodshed and chaos that was raging over there as we speak. As Minato was listening to everything that she had to say, his mind was working so fast. While that was going on though, at Kumo, the Raikage had a stain on his name. Yes, everyone knew it. He had a stain on his name, and there was no doubt about that. A child had took him to the cleaners. Yes, a simple child had proceeded to beat the living crap out of him, leaving him bloody. For a man of his caliber, for a man that act the way that he act, this was just pure humiliation. He's tried his best to remain docile, but his rage was barely keeping down. However, he knew what will happen. If he chose to retaliate, he knew what will take place. He knew the law that was set. It was in the middle of his palm. He tried to think about the destruction of the village, to test it, but nothing happened. However, putting actions forward might give him a warning, which he found out some time ago. That is something that he could not do. It would lead to the destruction of this village, something that he would not allow to happen. Because if his people move and he died, they will no doubt try to go on with their attack. And Konoha would retaliate. That boy would retaliate. He couldn't afford for that to happen. So he had to stay his ground and suffer with the humiliation, because there was not a damn thing that he could do about it. Well, that was what he thought. The Raikage was confused when the world around him started to suddenly change. Yes, one moment he was in his office. The next moment, he was... What the hell? The Raikage thought to himself. He couldn't understand what was going on. He was in an empty place. There was nothing around him. He was floating. He tried to understand where was he and what the hell just happened. That is when it spoke. A voice resonated from all around him. You seek revenge. You seek redemption for what has been plagued on your name. You seek to make him pay for the humiliation, the embarrassment that your people no doubt see you with. When the Raikage had returned, Mabi had still had the scroll and it was open. Naruto had made things worse by writing, leaving behind, you lost. Remember that. Just to ensure that the man understood what had happened, just to piss him off. Who are you? Where am I? The Raikage said, trying to locate the source. A being Its body was not human at all, but it had a human build. Its insides had what seemed to be tiny stars, thousands of them. I think the both of us can work together on the demise of this Naruto Namikaze. The Raikage raised an eyebrow at this being that resided in front of him. Just what the hell was going on? But guys, the end subs right here. If you want to see next portion, do like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notifications they posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also guys, don't forget to go ahead and just destroy that red subscribe button and become a part of the Endmaking family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. Don't forget to turn on the bell notification and see exactly when I post, because I do post a hell of a lot. So without further ado or wasting any more time, what do you say we get the hell out of here? See you guys soon. Peace out.